Welcome to the Heen View Podcast. This is Series 4 of the Heen View Podcast, which interviews a range of sport club representatives and leading professional sport club personnel during the COVID-19 period. We find out what these people are doing during the current health crisis with some of our most popular sports seasons postponed. I'm Mark Heenan. I'm your host today, and today's guest, well, he's a guy that I've known for a while, and I think in a lot of ways, he's probably a guy that represents the aspect of cricket and footy, but more recently, cricket, and he's actually the Marshall Cricket Club co-coach, so I just want to emphasise that he's the co-coach, but his list of awards in cricket is just as long as your arm, and if there's a guy that represents competition, how competitive he is when it comes to the cricket field, it doesn't get any bigger than this in terms of local people, Geelong Cricket Association. His name's Corey Walder, and Corey's joined us on the Heen View episode 73 podcast. And it's great to have you today, Corey. And we're going to talk about COVID as well, but I appreciate your time, and it's good to back up some talent after last week in Sam Sheller.
No worries, Mark. Big shoes to follow in Sammy's footsteps, but thanks for having me. When
I was actually the media officer for the BPCA, I don't know if I told you this, but I made it known to Sam Sheller that year that when you were the Colandina coach, captain, whatever you like to call it, and you had the trophy overlooking the Barnheads Bridge and Sam Sheller was there as a pre-photo shoot. I actually tipped Colandina to win the grand final that year. Now, I don't want to get too self-indulgent, but we've both made 50s on debut at Marshall, but except I was playing in the Z grade, you were playing in the A grade. So well done. And look, what you've done for Marshall the last 2 or 3 years has been amazing. And I guess the first question is, apart from the success that you've had, how hard is it with you? I know you've formed a lot of good social connections within that club, but how hard is it not playing cricket and not having that social interaction because of the COVID situation that we land ourselves in?
Obviously, it was a pretty big move going there and not knowing basically anyone at the club when I first went there. But the best thing about it was, I suppose, just meeting them people and the friendships that you create. And I suppose that's probably helped with COVID and not playing as much and being around the club as much as well. Obviously, as we spoke about before, living with Paris, and we still have it. We're a pretty tight knit group, and we've got a lot of good friends and close friends. So we do, keep in regular contact and do catch up as often as we can whilst we're not at the club during, I suppose, these COVID times or playing cricket. So I think that's probably, when you're a good young club and you've got a good young group with a lot of mates and good people, it does make it a bit easier, that's for sure.
In terms of that aspect of not starting the season, 1st of or 2nd of October, what it was, the week after the AFL Grand Final week, have you had, I know that you've, I don't know if it's a horse racing syndicate, but you've got a connection to the club with those social relationships in a lot of ways. Has it been hard for you not to be on the cricket field because of this first month? I know we had some issues last year with snap lockdowns and not playing, but how's that gone? Like with you sort of not having that itch to play cricket?
Yeah, it's tough. Obviously, we'd like to be playing cricket because that's what we do. But in saying that, we got, a lot of mates, whether it's a punters club or whether it's a bit of fun. We're running something different this year, as you just sort of touched on with the horse racing tipping competition, which I think we got about 60 people signed up for last weekend. And that's not only people from Marshall, but a few guys have jumped on board with that as well. So, that's sort of, our Saturdays at the moment, just having a bit of fun, bit of banter through the socials and that sort of thing. So it's all right, I suppose. I don't mind the horse racing, so you get to watch a bit of the spring carnival and the feature races and stuff like that. But, it's out of our hands, and, obviously prefer to be playing cricket on a Saturday afternoon. But hopefully, we're only a couple of weeks away now, so everyone's looking forward to getting stuck into it.
Incidentally, this will be our last show probably before the Melbourne Cup. Do you have a tip?
Oh, I wouldn't say a tip. I think the favourite will be pretty hard to beat. It's nearly odds on at the moment. So incentive-wise, I think it should just win. But in saying that, it's a Melbourne Cup. So, there's probably about 10, 20 good chances, isn't there?
There is, isn't there? It's always, you go on a Melbourne Cup sweep and you got so many horses. Unlike the Cox Plate on the weekend, there's not many of the field. But, that's premier weight for age horse. But tell us about your, not so much communication, but what's your understanding about when the season will start? Like, I know the neighbouring association and the Ballerine is looking to get things going on the 6th of November. When are you sort of planning to start? When are you planning to have the club field sides in grades and all that? And talk to me about that.
Yeah. So I think we're locked in, I think, for the 13th, which is good. So we got an extra week. So I don't know, it runs the Division 2 comp runs really well. Having 8 teams sort of play everyone home and away once, and the season just works really well like that. So I think, we get a decent break, 4-week block over Christmas, a bit of time off, and then, we're not playing any Sundays or trying to make games up, and we finish at the normal time. So I think that's the good thing about Division 2 is it runs really well and smoothly. So I think it's penciled in for the 13th, and that gives us a good little break, and we sort of know where we're at there. So I think the 8 teams is really good. So in terms of Marshall teams, I think we're probably going to have 6 teams this year, which is pretty exciting. We've got really good numbers. So I think we should be pretty competitive, across all teams. So I think it's a good time, good, exciting time. So we're looking forward to get stuck into it.
Tell me your role as the co-coach. I noticed that, Stan's the school teacher and does a lot of the communication now. I mean, how does that role work with you and him? I mean, I think you had Nathan Fry before that. You came to the club. I mean, how do you divide up the responsibilities?
Oh, it's been a blessing, Stan coming on board. Obviously, he's very organised and good with his, his little spreadsheets and all his school teacher stuff. So he takes care. Through COVID, he's just been unbelievable. So he's all over it. He's very organised and that sort of thing. So he does a lot of that sort of stuff. And it allows me to sort of sit back and do a bit of the individual stuff. And I sort of run game day on Saturdays, and he sort of takes a backward step, and I sort of let him do his thing during the week. And he's been unreal. I couldn't thank him enough. He's fantastic at that. So it's been a really good get for the club, getting him jumping on board as a co-coach for sure.
Well, I noticed at training last week that behind the bowler there was a clipboard and there were notes being taken by your mate Paris, which is Jake Hilton, and then also it was almost like a revolving clipboard. What was going on with those notes there? Were you doing like little player IDs, or what's going on?
No, we just thought we'd try something different out in the middle, and run rates and strike rates for batters. So our curators do a fantastic job, and we get out in the middle nearly once a week. So weather providing, but Paris was just holding the clipboard there as he's not training, so he's taking a few notes, and we're just getting a bit of a gauge on rotating the strike and batters, strike rates and different things like that, which is pretty important in the one-day format.
Make sure you give me a couple of throwdowns this week because I've got a new bat, Max, but I've got to make sure it just gets a few bouncies.
Yeah,
don't want to get some quick bowlers on it straight away.
No, you can't have that.
No.
I'm still trying to knock mine in.
Yeah, bats are a bit different these days, though. You don't need the mallet, and you can pretty much you can use it whether it's throwdowns. Yeah,
that's right.
Take us back though. Obviously there has been player movement over the last few years, and you're one of a few players that have left the Ballerine to test yourself. You've seen it with obviously Louis Hyland and Sam Shallow, who we had on last week, and even guys that you mentioned from Alexander Thompson, Ben Ricardo, Luke Buckman,
there's James Fisher as well.
Yeah.
Coach and Torquay, yeah.
So what brought you to Marshall? And I guess in some ways you had such a successful late season last year. I mean, you are the leading run scorer. You were the leading run scorer last season with the 712 runs at 47.47, and the list of awards are just endless of what you've won. Best player at the club or the most valuable player. What brought you to Marshall in the first place? And did you want to play in the first division, or what was your goal there when you left Colandina?
Yeah, I think so. There wasn't really, as I said earlier, I didn't really know anyone at Marshall by sort of Jake through work, slight connection there. And Shane Skeen was sort of looking for their coach as well, who's got a bit to do with Marshall over the years. So had a bit of a tie there through work as well. So that's how that started. The thing for me was just while I was still in my 20s at the time, just going and having a crack at turf while I still can. And there was a few clubs there that I had a chat to and sort of thought about it. And, Division 1 was appealing, but I didn't feel like it had to be Division 1, and it was probably where I felt that I'd be the best fit. And that ended up being Marshall. And I'm really, really glad I made that choice, because I love the club. It's now a second home, and made some quality friendships that'll last forever. So the decision I'm really happy with. And obviously, we had that success. We won the flag in the first year, which was pretty special. And then we've played finals every year since. Just fell short last year, but and COVID interrupted the year before. So we've got a really good, exciting, talented group, all sort of in our 20s and early 30s. So it's a really good time for the club, and hopefully we can bring the club a little bit more success.
So is that what you were saying before about Stan, in the sense that with the COVID challenges thrown down, and whether you're trying to organise sessions into indoor net facilities or working around COVID and knowing how many players are at the ground or at training and all that, is that sort of, is he done more in that space, whereas you're doing more on the Saturdays?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, all the check-in stuff we had, especially early days, making sure everyone's checked in and got the barcode set out, groups of 10. He was unreal with that sort of thing. So, that's, putting a post up on Facebook saying who's going to be at training, so we can accommodate for the numbers and that sort of thing. So he runs all that stuff, and I'd sort of take control of game day, and it seems to work really well.
Now, one thing that I've always said this to other people is, I've been working in sport for a while in terms of sports journalism, and I don't say this lightly. I mean, I've got to meet people in different layers, whether it's local or international or state and all that. But I've always said this, and you might disagree, but I mean, where does the competitive drive come from? But I've always said that you are the most competitive person I've ever met when it comes to sport, particularly obviously cricket. But where's that huge competitive drive come from? Was it an instinct through your dad, or was it brought down from generation? I mean, how is this competitive edge just giving you, well, not so much just success, but what drives you to make you so competitive?
It's a good question. I don't know. I just growing up, we are a pretty competitive family. We have a brother a similar age. We used to, be competitive against each other as well. But I don't know. It just, once you cross the line, I feel just you play to win. So, you don't want to go out there and make up the numbers or whatever. So I try and drive that. You're giving up your time, and you want to get something out of it. So, whether I'm pretty competitive, whether it's a game of cards or a game of pool on a Saturday night, I am pretty competitive. But I wouldn't say it's a generation thing or anything like that. Growing up, we've always been pretty competitive family and love our games and love our sport and all that sort of thing. So I suppose that's what probably drives me a little bit.
What have you learned now from your leadership at Marshall that you didn't have when you're at Colandina? Like, I probably haven't seen much of it as much as at Colandina looking from the outside, but how have you changed, not so much as a person, but how have you changed as a leader, and what drove you into that leadership role?
I've probably grown up a little bit, to be honest, which is what comes with age. So still pretty competitive on that. I don't think that'll ever change, but I don't know. I think that just the need of a change, obviously, was at Colandina for, which is my home club and always will be, 7, 8 years, maybe 5, 6 years coaching there. So it was, I think the best thing for me was just to change and, to go and play turf for a bit and suppose learn some new things and try and improve my cricket as well. So I suppose I've probably grown up and matured a little bit in the last 3-4 years, but I don't think wouldn't say I haven't. Yeah, playing with different guys and that, I suppose you learn a bit more about them as well as yourself. So still learning. I think in terms of cricket, you can probably play till you're 40 plus. So, there's still plenty of time to keep learning and keep improving, that's for sure.
Is when you say you haven't lost that competitive drive, and that's what makes you such a successful player, but has the aggression changed? Do you think you were more aggressive in not a negative way, but do you think you were more physically aggressive when you were at Colandina as opposed to Marshall, or what? How's that changed?
Oh, I don't think physically aggressive on a cricket field, but
yeah. Oh well,
I've probably toned it down a little bit. Yeah, definitely, which is more probably an age and mature thing. And being captain as well, I do get emotional at times on the field, and that happens. But I don't think I've changed too much about the way I go about it.
So one thing I noticed too, and looking at the statistics, and that's what I mean. Why I use physical aggression is because if you're a bowler, you could bowl bounces, right? Okay, and I noticed, and I maybe you could sort of inform the viewers and listeners out there, you don't bowl as much as what you used to. You were seen as not just a batting all-rounder at Colandina, but you were a genuine all-rounder. You don't bowl as much. What was the situation there?
No, I can't. I've got an elbow injury, floating bone in my elbow, so I'm unable to bowl. First year I come to Marshall, felt pretty good, and then hurt my side strain, and couldn't bowl for about 3-4 months, and then bowled towards the back half of the year and bowled in the grand final. And then the following year tried to come back and bowl again, and then started having elbow issues as well. So unfortunately don't have private health insurance at the moment, and the surgeons wouldn't see me unless I had it. So I've just sort of left it and just focused on the batting side of it. And we've got about 10 bowls at Marshall anyway, so I'm not required, which is not a bad thing.
And you're not doing any backup wicket keeping at all?
No, well, I haven't in about 10 years because of dodgy knees. So if Jake doesn't get up for round one, there might be a little cameo there, but hopefully he's right to go round one because there might be a few buys.
Well, the elbow injury mustn't have hurt too much because, well, I'm talking impacted too much. I mean, you probably had your almost successful, the most successful season that you've had last season with over 700 runs. But, I mean, tell us about that because I suppose, are you a subscriber to the more of those one-day games because you can have more innings for one, but if by playing a two-day game, it might feel like a bit empty if you make a low score. But your scores are, I think even in the first half of last season, your lowest score was 20. You're on an incredible streak of runs.
Yeah, well, luckily the elbow doesn't affect the batting, and I can still throw fine. It's literally just that bowling action with the arm extended. So. Batting's fine, and obviously, one day it gives you a couple more hits. But personally, I'd prefer the 2-day stuff as you get to build innings, and you got more time, and it probably suits my game a little bit more. But the white ball stuff, and you get a chance to come back next week and get on the board if you fail. So that's probably the good thing about that. So yeah, I don't mind the 1-day stuff. It keeps you in the game, and you get a chance to put some big scores up still. And opening the batting, you're always going to get a chance to make a decent score if you play the right way. So yeah, I don't mind it. White balls this year as well, which is probably more beneficial for the batsmen. So yeah.
Now you're probably used to going to a club that might not be as big a club as the main club next door, and whether that's South Barwon or Marshall, but Marshall seems to be at the forefront of a lot of funding promises from government. I don't want to seem like I'm getting too political here, but the reality is that you're going to have a cricket centre of excellence. There's also a duplicate road that runs on the perimeter or on the outside of those ovals that's building. So there's a lot of development going on there. What do you think that centre of cricket of excellence will bring to Marshall?
Oh, it'll be huge. It's been a bit disappointing. It's not underway at the moment. So we're pretty excited. It's going to be top of the range, sort of, 4 hard wicket nets, big cage, a new shed, some turf wickets, which we haven't had. We're sort of relying on training in the middle every couple of weeks when we can. So, as you said, the roads are underway, traffic lights, and just make it a lot more accessible, I suppose, in a way. So, it obviously helps the club big time in the future of attracting players and recruits and everything like that. So it's it's a pretty exciting time for the club. They've obviously got the grants there; it's all ready to go. So you can see it's starting to come underway. So it'll be a really good time for the club, I think, in the next couple of years for sure.
And that's what impresses me about Marshall is that the people that are at the club, it's built on the trades labour. So if you need a deck build or you need some plumbing done, you've got people that are skilled in that area, but they don't necessarily rely on government funding. And if you do get it, it's a bonus. But the improvements and, looking at the bar facility there and the deck and all that, like what's going on, even, as I said, some of those plumbing work. So how thankful have you've got some good people at the club, but also people that volunteer in the community and also make the club even greater in terms of the social impacts as well.
Yeah, they've done a fantastic job. Obviously, they built the club up from scratch pretty much. There's photos up in the rooms where it was just a little brick shed, and you go there now and you've got the bar and the deck, and it's probably one of the better grounds to watch cricket at, sitting out on the deck. It's fantastic, and the work that there's a lot of families there to give credit to, but as you say, there's a lot of guys there who put in a lot of work over the years, double dams, and the work that Ox did as president to ensure we got all these grants. Yeah, Russell Menzies. So there's so many guys that have done a numerous amount of work, and I suppose once this facility's up and running, I think it'll just be awesome for the club, and then people should be really proud.
And I suppose you're playing cricket, like in the last few years, it's been just solely cricket. There's been no football. When did you make the decision to stop playing footy?
Yeah, probably three years ago, I think. Just the body. It screws in the knee. The other knee's not any better. And just purely going footy to cricket for the last 15, I suppose 16 years, it takes its toll. And if I had to choose one, I was probably a bit more into the cricket, and you can play that until, as I said, you're 40 years old and at a good level. So it was a pretty easy decision to hang up the footy boots and just concentrate on the cricket and get back into golf a little bit as well.
What do you play off in golf?
9 at the moment.
Yeah. So just talk about the club that you're a member at.
Oh, just Barwon Valley at the moment, just to try and get back into it, as it's close to cricket club and close to home. So it's a bit harder over summer to get time. So if it's just nice and easy little course. So get into it. A couple of the boys are members down there as well. So it just makes it easy.
Yeah, I quite often head down there. It's got a nice little driving range. You can just have a bit of a hit.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's all good.
Yeah.
Hey, the football situation, I mean, was one of those highlights, kicking the winning goal in the preliminary final. I was lucky enough to interview you straight after that game when Ocean Grove surprised Torquay and got into the grand final of 2014 in the Bellarine Football League. I mean, was that one of the highlights for you, not just individually, but to rise up the ladder and play in a grand final? Or what other junior success have you had and other success have you had in footy?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I hadn't had a kick all day in that game, so to kick that goal was pretty special. But obviously we went down the following week against Amos in the grand final, which was disappointing. But they were a powerhouse then, so we're up against it. But no, never won a senior flag, so we lost that one. But we were pretty lucky playing juniors at Ocean Grove. We had a pretty special group going up where we won. We've sort of all played together from under 14s and won the Division 1 flag there, and then went through Ocean Grove and won a couple more there, bottom age and top age, under 18. So, that were probably, I suppose, highlights as well. And a bit of school footy thrown in the mix there with some of the, the best players in AFL running around chasing them, which was good fun at school. So, yeah.
And with that, I don't know whether the leadership came in footy terms, but with someone like a Jai Herbst, a bit of a key instrumental figure for you when you were getting into the leadership aspect, particularly at Colandina, and coming back from Geelong and playing at Colandina, being a star junior, or what? Can you talk about maybe some of those key figures that you had, whether it was maybe a Lee Norkey or maybe a Jai Herbst, an Eddie Elwood, Richie Peters? Who were some of those people there that helped you become the leader that you are?
Yeah, all them guys did a lot for me when I was younger, for sure. Lee obviously is the epitome of Colandina Cricket Club, and you can't speak highly enough of him and what he's done down there. But coming back, Herbsy was, I think, coach at the time, or captain, and we sort of did co-captain for a year. And as he handed it over, and he's awesome. It was great to work with, and he obviously played a lot of cricket and is a ripper fella. But yeah, Eddie Elwood as well. He coached a lot of time down there and sort of took me under his wing when I was about 13, 14. And I think he played in my first ever A-grade game when I was 13, and I think Eddie was coaching at the time then. So, Ed was unreal for me as well. But all them guys, Rich as well, the amount of work they've put in at that club as well and built that up is unreal.
And you mentioned now you've sort of formed that sort of close working relationship with, as you say, Paris, which is Jake Hilton, the wicketkeeper at Marshall. Tell us the work that you do outside of cricket in day job and how your roles sort of cross over.
With Jake, I'm living with him at the moment. So, but no, we have a bit to do with each other through work as well. Through Plasterbourne, I'm working for Boral and he's at Walker's. So, we speak on the phone nearly every day and live together and both enjoy our golf and that sort of thing as well. So, there's a good connection there with him, but he still can't beat me yet. So he's
probably just knows how competitive you are, and then
that's I think he heard me.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna mention him because there was a particular day, and we like to have a bit of banter on this show. And what I found so ironic, it was covered about 2 years ago, and the turf games were called off. Right, you'll know the day that I'm talking about. And you and Jake decided to come down to Ocean Grove because the big battle, Ocean Grove and Colandina. And one of the highlights for me was, this fiery, like I know that, you'll admit yourself that you've got a bit of white line fever when you play across, the oval, and particularly when you're playing. But there was a day where the turf games were called off, but the hard wicket games were on in the Ballerine. And your brother, who was coaching Colandina, obviously couldn't play because he obviously, unfortunately, had a knee injury. And this guy was behind the oval, and he was almost like a football coach in a cricket game, telling them where to field and all this. Colandina's got a field here, like these players have got a field here. Oh, you field here. And I was on the boundary line. And then you and Jake walked down, and I looked, Corey's here. What's he doing? And he walks down, and Corey, and you said to Nate, you said, just quieten down a little bit here. And I thought, you know what? That's pretty ironic that you're saying that, because normally people are trying to settle you down. Do you remember that incident?
No, I remember going down there. I don't remember that, but I remember we got washed out and we went down and watched the boys down there at Ocean Grove. So I think there was about 5 or 6 of us in the end that went down for a look. So it was a bit of fun. We all had a few mates playing that day, so it was good to head back and watch.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And you're obviously, it could go many different ways here, but people like Ben Ricardo and Sam Shallow have been a big part of your life. I managed to get this interview through a bit of gardening maintenance from someone where I live. Richie Peters. It was pretty hard to get a hold of you, but we finally got there. But Richie's I call him the Colandina puppet, but he's a good fella. He's a ripper fella, isn't he?
No, Rich, he's one of the ones, old Rich. So no, he's doing well, new business, and he's busy. So
He wants me to plug it too.
he loves it. So no, well, yeah, make sure you do because he's doing a good job.
Yes, he'll just a quiet one, Surf Coast Mow and Maintenance, but he can always sponsor the show on the Stonehenge View. You can see the banner there. You can put a sticker up, so that's okay.
That's right. I'll have a word to him.
Tell us about you have a connection with a bat, like a branded bat. Tell us who that is.
Ulysses. Yeah, so Youngie down in Torquay. Has got a few local boys on board. You'll see heaps of them playing in the GCA. So, yeah, he's unreal. He's gear. He's high quality. Really good cricket bats and everything. So, no, he looks after me. He does a great job. So, if you need anything, make sure you yell out to him and go and see him. But it's really good stuff.
And what other things? I mean, obviously, Jake's dad I played cricket with in Mark Patke, who we call a Pumpkin, and he's got the Ripper Roast, but good business in Geelong. But you have you've obviously had a bit of downtime. The lockdowns. You wouldn't been able to go and see family and friends. And I know that you're close to your family, like any other good son is to your mum and dad, and obviously siblings. But what things have you managed to do during lockdown when we were in that hard lockdown? I mean, I don't know whether you had to work from home at any stage, but were you playing obviously card games? Were you playing poker? What were you doing a lot of? Obviously following the races.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. I've been pretty fortunate through the whole way, really, with work. I think we got to go in building and construction pretty much most days, Monday to Friday, and I've maybe spent a couple of days at home, but worked pretty much all the way through, which was very lucky. So, I suppose a little bit fortunate at the same time as well, living with a close mate where we can sort of, have a bit of fun, whether it be cards or pool out in the shed or whatever it is, chucking the races on. But yeah, the hardest thing I suppose was not being able to go down and see mum and dad that often, which we are pretty close family and that sort of thing. So hopefully, yeah, it's starting to free up a little bit now, which has been good. So make up for a bit of lost time, I suppose. And
you're a great Richmond Tigers fan. You saw their 3 premierships in 2017, 2019 and 20. Obviously, 2020 was played in Queensland, but you were lucky enough to go to some of those grand final victories. And incidentally, you wouldn't have been born the year that they won their premiership before 2017. So you felt a bit fortunate the last 3 or 4 years that with you not playing football, that's allowed you to go and support the Richmond Tigers.
Yeah, it's a massive family thing. We go to the footy when we can, and I know we didn't think it would ever happen. Being down the bottom for so long, but yeah, we were fortunate enough to go to the 2017 and 18 grand finals and all the way through the final series. So that first one was pretty special. I think the old man had a bit of a tear in his eye after the game, and we stayed up in Melbourne as a family and made a weekend of it, sort of thing. So yeah, that was pretty special that weekend.
Well, I don't have any more dirt to dig on you because I couldn't get any because I asked a few people and they just weren't prepared to give me any dirt on you. So I want to thank you for coming on the Stonehenge View podcast for episode 73. I'm probably almost 99% sure that you've probably made 73 with the bat. So we'll go with 73. I don't know if there's a theme for you there, but you are episode 73 on this podcast. But one quick thing before we go, what are you looking to get out of the season, particularly this year? I mean, I think you mentioned, having the 6 sides and all that sort of stuff. What are some of those pre-season goals or things that you want to tick off, not just individually, but as a club and as a group?
As a club, I think we've been pretty hard on the last couple of years of trying to win that club championship, I think is the goal. It's very even and very open in Division 2. So it relies on, it's a club effort. So I think we've been sort of second or third probably the last 2-3 years. So I think this year with having the 6 teams and a lot of numbers and depth, I think we should be really striving to win that club championship. So that's the number one goal. Team goal in the first, we'd obviously like to be playing finals again. and, you know, just being top four and, you know, 1v4, 2v3, it doesn't really matter where you finish. If you're just there, you give yourself a chance. So I suppose that's the goal, to just make sure we get there and give ourselves a chance, and individually just keep doing what I'm doing and try and put my best foot forward for the team and get us off to a good start most weeks when I can.
Well, absolutely. You've done that the last 3 years, and I think anyone that has seen Corey Walder play, he plays with hard work, his talent, and as I said, that competition and that competitive drive has stand you in good stead. And, you know, 712 runs last year at 47.47. And, you know, also just a quick one, you were in the team of the decade for the Bellarine Peninsula Cricket Association. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that was an honour.
Captain.
Yeah, a bit unexpected. I wasn't even sure that they were doing it, but Ian Caldwell come down and see me at training at Marshall and gave me the plaque, so that was pretty cool. And there were some pretty quality cricketers in that as well, so it was a good team to be a part of. So that was good.
Oh, good stuff. Well, Corey Walder, you've joined the likes of Dale Kerr, Sam Schaller, and we've even had Brent Venables and a few other big, I suppose, cricket figures around this, region that have joined the podcast. So really appreciate your time on episode 73 of the Stonehenge View, and enjoy the rest of the season when it starts. And again, thank you for your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Well, that was Corey Walder, and you can get in contact if you have a guest in mind from sport. You can check out the Stonehenge View on Facebook. You can type that in. You can check it out. You can check out the Instagram account as well, Stonehenge View. We're also on Apple Podcasts. Write us a review. Tell us what you like. Subscribe. We're also on Spotify, and our launching platform is Podbean. And you can also check out the Stonehenge View Twitter account at Stonehenge View. And thanks for Marshall Cricket Club for getting behind this as well. They'll share it on their, obviously, their social media forums as well. So until next time, this has been the Stonehenge View episode 73. We're going to have at least one guest from Tasmania next week in a sports administrator front. And we're looking forward to that. And also possibly a WBBL player from the Hobart Hurricanes on the Stonehenge View podcast. So we're looking forward to that. And it's going to be part of a Tasmanian week of sport on the Stonehenge View. So until next time, we'll see you soon.